The hospital never sleeps, but that doesn't mean we're awake in the ways that matter. By the time I turned 39, I had stitched more flesh than I cared to remember, saved lives that haunted me in dreams, and carried a pager that buzzed more reliably than my husband's voice across the dinner table. Mark had become predictable, polite, cold, like an old coat you still wear because it's always been there, comfortable, but no longer warm. I wasn't looking for anything. I'd stopped looking years ago. Then came Dr. Jace Monroe, third-year surgical resident. Charming in a way that didn't try too hard. Too young, technically, 10 years my junior, but he never acted like a boy. And he looked at me like I wasn't invisible. The first time I noticed him, not just noticed, but noticed, was during a trauma intake. A 17-year-old had come in with a ruptured spleen. Blood everywhere. Panic from the interns. I was barking orders, gloves slick, heart steady. And there he was, beside me, calm and focused. His hands moved like he'd been in the OR for decades, not months. After the girl was stable and wheeled out, I pulled off my gloves with a sigh. "You've got good instincts," I told him, meaning it. He didn't puff his chest or stammer thanks. He just met my eyes and said, "Only when I follow yours." It was nothing. A compliment. Professional. But it stuck. 2 weeks later, I found myself noticing how he leaned when he talked. How his voice dipped slightly when he said my name. How he always smelled like something clean and sharp, mint and soap and something warmer I refused to name. I reminded myself I was married. I reminded myself he was a resident, and I was his attending. I reminded myself of the boundaries that had kept my career and reputation sterile and intact. And still, there was that night. The ER had been slammed, 3 car accidents, 2 chest pains, and a psych patient who'd thrown a chair through radiology. It was 2:47 a.m. I was reviewing charts in the staff lounge when Jace walked in, scrub top slightly damp, dark hair a little disheveled. "You look like hell," he said with a grin. "You're not far behind," I replied without looking up. He flopped onto the couch across from me. I could feel his gaze. Lazy, confident, inappropriate in all the ways that made me burn. "Want coffee?" he asked. "I've had 3 already. This one's different." I raised an eyebrow. "How so?" "I made it. I don't burn things I care about." There it was, that line. Sharp and just close enough to cross. I stared at him, long enough to make it clear I'd noticed. Long enough for the silence to tighten around us. "You should go back to your floor," I said. "I should," he replied. But he didn't move. The next time, it was raining. We were leaving through the east exit. My umbrella was useless against the wind, and I cursed as my heels slipped on the wet concrete. Jace caught my elbow. "Let me," he said, opening his coat without waiting and tucking me under it. I should have pulled away. I didn't. His body was too close. His breath too warm. 5 seconds too long, I stood there, the storm forgotten, my pulse roaring in my ears. "Thank you," I managed. He didn't say anything. Just smiled that same knowing smile. The escalation wasn't fireworks. It was erosion. Slow. Subtle. Dangerous. One evening, post-op, he lingered as I checked vitals. The air between us buzzed with tension. I stepped back too quickly and bumped into a tray. He caught it. Caught me, technically. His hand landed on my waist. Barely. But enough. Our eyes locked. I whispered, "Don't." He said, "Tell me to stop and I will." I should have. I didn't. That weekend, I sat in my car outside the hospital for 15 minutes before going home. Mark texted, "Dinner's in the microwave." I looked at my reflection in the rearview mirror. A woman in control. Composed. Respected. Lying to herself. Hospitals are made for secrets. We hide bodies behind curtains, feelings behind clipboards, and mistakes behind acronyms. The on-call room is no exception. a dimly lit space where people steal naps, silence, or something more dangerous. That night, I went in just to rest. I told myself that. But I knew he'd be there. And he was. Jace sat on the edge of the lower bunk, scrolling through his phone. His scrub pants clung low on his hips, shirt discarded beside him. When he looked up and saw me in the doorway, he didn't flinch. Just set the phone aside and waited. I should have left. Instead, I shut the door behind me. "You look tired," he said, voice low. "It's been a long shift. Come sit." It sounded innocent. It wasn't. I sat, careful to keep distance, but even the air between us felt charged. He turned to face me. "Elena," he said softly, "why are you here?" I needed quiet. There's quiet at home. My throat tightened. Home doesn't feel like home anymore. We stared at each other, like two people circling a live wire. He leaned in. "If I kiss you now, will you stop me?" I couldn't speak. I didn't nod. I didn't push him away. He kissed me. God help me, I kissed him back. It was slow at first. His hands didn't rush. They explored. Reverent. Tender. My back met the wall, and my fingers threaded into his hair. He whispered my name like he was afraid it would vanish if he didn't say it right. We made love with the kind of desperation only two lonely people can summon. I didn't feel like his superior. I didn't feel like a mother, or a wife, or a surgeon. I just felt alive. When I climaxed, I bit his shoulder to keep from crying out. He held me afterward, his fingers tracing lazy circles along my back. "I've wanted that since the night in the rain," he murmured. I exhaled shakily. "This can't happen again." He nodded. "I know." We both knew we were lying. In the days that followed, I tried to avoid him. I busied myself with back-to-back surgeries, extra admin duties, committee reviews. I told Mark I was swamped. He nodded, distracted, scrolling through his tablet during dinner. I studied his face and wondered when he stopped seeing me. Jace didn't text, didn't push. But when we passed in the hallway, his eyes found mine every time. It was a fever. A craving. And I was already infected. It happened again 10 days later. We were reviewing a difficult appendectomy. He leaned close, our shoulders brushed, and I inhaled that same damn clean warm scent. "Still pretending?" he asked. "No," I whispered. This time, it was the supply closet. Cramped. Risky. He pulled me into him and I didn't resist. We didn't even get our scrubs fully off. It was fast, hungry, hands slamming into metal shelves, my moan muffled against his neck. Afterward, I buttoned my coat with shaking fingers. "This is madness." He grinned. "Then why does it feel so real?" That night, Mark tried to initiate sex. For the first time in months. I flinched. "I'm sorry," he said, misreading it as fatigue. "We don't have to." I nodded and turned away. But it wasn't guilt that kept me up. It was the terrifying truth. Jace made me feel seen. And that was more dangerous than any affair.